Today we have Tribe Cosmetics. I have Matt and Pergrin joining me. Thanks for joining me today. How you guys doing?
Good, Joe. How are you?
Doing well. So you guys have one of the more interesting products. Why don't you tell me a little bit about the company and what you guys do?
The whole reason Pergrin and I started this company is we were both starting out our careers working in the entertainment industry. And that's when we got to witness and experience firsthand the power of makeup. Fast forward later in our lives, we're in client-facing sales roles, and as anyone, but as a guy, you're just so worried about how you look, right? When you're walking into meetings or face-to-face interactions, you worry about what are you going to wear, how do you do your hair, but we most commonly neglect the one thing that people remember most about us, which is our face. So we wanted to erase the social stigma around making it okay for guys to use makeup to cover up the same imperfections that their females have. Whether it's pimples or dry skin, we wanted it to be okay to just have a solution for men.
That's very cool. So tell me a little bit how you both met.
We actually met through a mutual friend. We met at a dinner. It was an intimate dinner. It was about 4 of us. And we just connected, and we both lived in New York, so we started hanging out. And our next interaction between Pergrin and I was a trip to Paris.
Oh, wow. Very cool. And so, how did you know that the two of you, because founder relationships are critical, especially at an early stage company, how did you guys know that you were a match?
Yeah, I think, both Matt and I just kind of saw that we were both driven. We're both working jobs. We clearly wanted just more than that. The job is great. It pays bills. It's, it provides. But, we were looking more for long-term. And, there were a few of us that were in Paris. So at some point, we all kind of just got into smaller groups as people chose to do different things. And just a lot of our conversations gravitated towards trying to do something. And we said, well, why don't we think of something we can do together? And somehow this idea just kind of came about from our own personal experiences, and we thought we'd pursue it. We were laying down the groundworks for it before COVID happened. And then when COVID happened, it kind of accelerated things, because all of a sudden I was seeing my guy friends buy, selfie lights and buy setups in their homes. And they were asking things like, oh man, like what do I do? Like my face, I could see my, freckles, or I could see like pock marks and things like that. And I would say makeup, and they would laugh at first, because it's not a thing you think about as a guy to use to address those issues. That's when we knew, like, this is the perfect time for us to come out with a product, and we need to gear it towards men and market it that way, because they don't understand that this very same thing that you can buy at Sephora and then CVS and anywhere else is what's going to solve your problem.
So you mentioned that people kind of laughed at this idea, and like obviously it's a non-traditional idea, but there's huge potential around it. Like, how did you personally not have any self-doubt to move forward with something like this?
Well, I think we looked at what was happening. One, there's a lot of social movements that are going on right now. Also, you have an entire generation, the Gen Z generation, that's a bit more. They're non-gender conforming. And so we saw that. I mean, you have, for example, people, Will Smith's son, who wore a skirt, and people thought that was kind of ridiculous, but that's just what the new normal is. And so since we were seeing that, and then we were also seeing that, the market was kind of ripe for this and accepting of it. And so, we went around, we asked people, hey, would you wear makeup? No. Course, right? Or get out of here, or what are you talking about? Every kind of response that you can get. A few yeses, and usually there were people that worked in the entertainment industry or periphery of it. But then you go back and you ask the same people, what if I told you I have something that can, help to hide a pimple, a blemish, or make your skin look, fresher? Would you wear something like that? Oh, absolutely. We hand them the little jar, it's the same thing. And now they're willing to take it, because they don't think this is makeup.
But also, I don't care what any guy says. As at some point in their lives, growing up now, everyone has a mother, sister, girlfriend, female friend. They've had this huge pimple on their face. They're not walking into a Sephora because they know they're going to get judged. And they go to them, hey, they reach out to the person who matches their skin color. They're like, hey, do you have anything for this? Like, I got to get rid of it, you know? And they've done that. So we just wanted to bring that to light to let these guys know that it's okay to do that on a broader scale in the real world.
Yeah, I mean, I completely buy the concept. I think there's tons of potential here, like just from my experience. So I went to Costa Rica a week ago, and I'm extremely pale because I've been inside for the last kind of year or so. And my wife made me get a spray tan. And like, obviously you look a lot better when you have a little bit of color. And I can see like that whole angle where you talk about like, you know, it's not necessarily like positioned as makeup, but more about like changing your appearance or fixing a problem. Then guys are like, okay, like now I get it. So it sounds like you guys did a lot of customer research on the front end. You know, I know from my experience, like the more customer research you do, the better everything is after that. You know, what would you give as far as advice to maybe people who are starting out when it comes to like grinding out that customer research and getting those no's? Like, what did you guys learn from that? What would you advise new founders on?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. You know, when we first went into this, we had, of course, an idea of what we thought the market would be. And I would say that, you know, as a founder, you know, you want to be strong in your convictions and in your beliefs and what your company is all about. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you should shut out other voices. I think seek out everything that you can learn. Some of it will coincide with what you already think, others won't. But I think that you need to be open to those comments as well to kind of really help inform what the customer is. Because at the end of the day, you may be passionate about what you're creating and what your mission is and your values are. But if you're hoping to sell to a consumer, then I think you need to listen to the consumers, you know, and find out what is important to them, what will motivate them to buy your product, and what will resonate for them to relate to your product.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's kind of like, you know, you have that passion for what you're doing that drives you forward. But at the end of the day, the market decides. Like, doesn't matter what you think, it's what the consumers think. So completely agree with that. So you guys mentioned, I just want to clarify, like, did you have jobs before you started this company? Or, okay, so I'd love to hear like how you pulled off that Band-Aid and made that leap from, you know, probably steady jobs to entrepreneurship, which is obviously a lot more risky and doesn't have a paycheck on day one.
Yeah. So both Pergrin and I actually were in similar roles where they weren't steady at all. It was just strictly commission based. Myself in real estate sales and then Pergrin in cybersecurity sales. So we kind of knew what we were getting ourselves into when we like cold turkey got into this, you know, but we actually didn't quit our jobs. You know, we still needed the funding from our everyday full-time job to help with this company, help grow this company. And, you know, it really motivates you because starting this company, you don't have anyone telling you what to do, right? So you are laying out the groundwork for yourselves just internally. Like no one on the outside tells you what to do. There's no right or wrong. You know, you kind of have to suck up your pride because you have this world of knowledge from every other field you've been in. And now you have to come into here admitting, hey, I don't know where to start, basically. So coupled with the fact, juggling that and juggling the starting tribe and our actual jobs really gave us a lot of discipline. So.
And Joe, can I add something to that? It's just, you know, there's this whole notion, and I know VCs ask this all the time, right? Like, if we give you funding, would you quit your job? And we're preparing to go into that world where originally Matt and I didn't want investors on this, but you know, we're now thinking we would need some additional funding to grow at a much faster rate. And the people that are helping us to prepare for this, one of the questions that keep popping up is they're going to want to know, would you quit your job if we give you funding? And I'm looking at this and saying, well, first of all, with the jobs that we have right now, Matt and I have still been able to build this company to where it is. Could it be more successful? Obviously, that's where we're headed towards, right? There's growth. There's room for growth here. But we've proven that we can handle both that responsibility. And secondly, the people that are giving us the money or would give us money, the venture caps, they have multiple business opportunities that they're working on. So why can't we? You know, that's always the question that I'm wondering about.
Yeah, exactly. You know, they always want you to take all of the risk and they want to spread all of that risk across their portfolio of companies. So it's a better position for them because they have, like you said, many bets and you have one bet. So as far as kind of juggling, you know, two huge responsibilities, And you mentioned, Matt, you mentioned discipline. What else goes into that? Because I've talked to other founders, and one of the common themes I'm starting to hear is, they have this phase where they have a job and then they have their business and they're juggling both. And then there's this tipping point where they decide like, either we go full time or we just juggle both indefinitely until the business just hits that inflection point. So anything around that?
Like where the tipping point would be?
Yeah, I mean, where the tipping point could be, what is that? Because to me, that's where, maybe you want to go full steam on it, or how you get to that tipping point. I'm just curious about your thoughts.
Back to the whole investor thing, we didn't want to bring in investors at first because we felt that they wouldn't care as much about this business and the mission and the ethos as much as we do, right? Because they're only going to worry about how much money they're going to get out of this. They don't care what direction it heads in as long as it makes them a return on their investment. I mean, the tipping point is when you want to start going to sleep, right? It's like you're juggling two jobs at once and you're up till 4 a.m. and then you wake up at 6:30 in the morning to start your actual job. It's just a lot of work. It's long hours to put in for both jobs. And we're at the point now where we're really starting to make a difference and where we really need to, we are full-time in this business, but we really need to start opening up offices and bringing on much more people and focusing full-time on this.
Very cool. So I have a question that I ask all founders. What was it like when you guys got your first sale from someone you didn't know?
That was a happy moment, but that was just a start of things, right? We get our first sale, we don't know who this person is. And instantly we actually Googled the person, tried to find them on LinkedIn and social media. It's like, who is this person that's buying our product? And, how do we show our appreciation? It was very, very exciting. But I think what was more exciting for us besides that just said, okay, well, we reached a group of someones, and one of them bought. What was exciting for us was to start seeing sales consistently happen every single day. Because now we had a business. Before that, I wouldn't have called it a business. We sold something one day, 5 days later, maybe we sold something else, etc. But when sales started coming in consistently, that's when we were like, okay, we have a business. That's when we started working on it a little bit more seriously, devoting more time to strategizing, devoting more time to really studying, the funnel and how our e-commerce, strategies are working out, etc. So before that, it was kind of like, okay, we put it out there. Let's see what people think about, because it was real, but it wasn't quite there until people started buying. And then, right now we Matt oversees the shipping, and all of a sudden Matt is busy making sure that our team is getting things out the door to these customers. It was very real.
So that's one of the highs of the business, is when you get your first sale and it kind of turns things on. You're like, wow, this is real. I can make this happen. We just have to keep repeating this. That's a simplified way of looking at it. Tell me about some of the lows, because we all know when you're a founder and you're starting a business, it's not always nice. What's an example of a low, and how did you guys manage your experience through something like that?
We've been fortunate enough to really not have any drastic lows. One of the really low points, what Pergrin and I define as low, is starting out, everyone tries to tell you what to do, and you kind of listen to them, and then you get defeated. So now you revert back to these people, these companies, asking for money, and you're like, okay, well, maybe we should bring these people on. And after the third company and you see no results, it's like, okay, what is going on? Now we just wasted a ton of money. When in reality, we were just, I don't want to say lazy, but maybe just uneducated on the overall aspect of what this company would do for us. If we took the time and effort to put into learning what needed to be done, we would have saved ourselves a lot of headache and a lot of money.
Yeah, it can be a good learning experience. Sometimes a little costly, but it's always a good learning experience, no matter what you do when you start a company. As far as outsiders, so, like you mentioned, people always have opinions, right? They always can feel like they can give you advice. They always think they know your business. You should do this, you should do that. What's something that outsiders don't know about your space?
A lot, actually, that they don't know about our space. I mean, we've we've tried, we've talked to everyone. We've talked to people that are, say, just in general marketing or people in digital growth. We've talked to people with cosmetics backgrounds. And what they don't know is what's the messaging that's going to resonate here with men, and they're just still not getting it. When they ask us, for example, how do you want the look and feel of the product? Do you want it to be, and I'm just putting names out there, you want it to be like Kylie Cosmetics, you want it to be like Glossier, you want it to be like this. And we're like, but we're not any of those. Those are great companies, but we're not them. We're not even competing in their space. We're literally defining this space. I mean, even somebody that has a lot of data on markets in general, Facebook, for example, for whatever business besides men's cosmetics, let's say I wanted to sell backpacks today, right? I could go on Facebook and figure out how to set up an effective Facebook ad campaign. Here are the people who buy backpacks, or most likely will buy backpacks, et cetera. There's a ready set made audience for this thing. With men's cosmetics, there isn't, which costs us to lose a lot of money, but also costs us, and we've actually talked to Facebook ad people that are like, yeah, that's just not a group that's defined, so
yeah,
there's a lot that they don't know.
Yeah, actually, very familiar. So what you guys are essentially creating a new category, right? Yeah. Like this is not something that exists before. So you can't just plug into these systems that are all set up based on all the data that they have for people and saying like this person who likes this will be a good person to target. I'll send you something after the call around creating your own category in SaaS, because it's really powerful as far as like basically labeling everything yourself, and then you are the ones who are known for it. So it can be really powerful. As far as advice for people starting their own category, what would you say? Like, what are those things that you're going to have to overcome early on besides like the ad stuff that, someone who has like this great idea, they want to get started, but they're like, this doesn't exist. Like, what would you advise them to think about and do?
Just if you guys truly have a vision and it's a meaningful one, just go for it. If we're going to like make men wearing makeup, who would have ever thought, in 2021 now, yes, but 4 years ago, they would have been like, go away, Yeah. We really just wanted to erase this negative stigma around it. It just blows my mind. It's like you walk into a CVS, right? There's an aisle for men's shampoo and women's shampoo. It's like, how is hair any different, And it's like, why can't makeup, why is shampoo such segregated and makeup is segregated? It's all the same thing. Every guy has imperfections. Every female has imperfections. They want a solution. Why can't that solution be okay for both parties?
Yep. Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I'm really bullish on what you guys are doing. It reminds me of how early investors and how like companies like Airbnb and Uber, they had all this pushback early on because it was like, you're never going to get in a stranger's car. You're not going to push a button and get in some stranger's car. You're going to use a taxi, or like, you're not going to stay at someone's apartment that you don't know. Like, that's crazy. And so like those ideas where you have that initial pushback tend to have some of the largest potential, because you have all these people who are like, this is crazy. And then suddenly they're like, maybe this isn't so crazy, I'll try it. And then suddenly like everyone wants to do it. So yeah, that's why early on I was saying ton of potential. Like this seems like, huge opportunity. As far as goals, so you don't have to share KPIs, but what is your 1-year goal and 3-year goal for the business?
Our sales have been growing at kind of a fairly exponential rate, since the beginning of 2021. We really saw it spike in March, and then April was consistent. So I think our goal here is, so far, is to break even at this point. And as far as a financial perspective, just break even, past that mark, and then be able to fund for new product expansions and things like that. So from a company-wide perspective, we'd like for men's makeup to be out on the market more. For us, we fully believe, for example, that I think it was Confucius who said that a rising tide floats all boats. So we, have contacted other men's makeup companies, try to work with them on campaigns, because it's not a matter of, us competing against each other. It's all of us having to create this market. So let's together, put this vision forward of normalizing the wearing of makeup for men. How you market to those individual men and sell it, why my product and not yours, etc. That's a corporate strategy you don't need to share. But as far as having a conversation and saying that this is, that it is okay for men to wear makeup, I think we should be united with that. So I think our vision for the first year is just to really educate the market and create this market for us and for everyone else. And then, the following year for, more growth in this space. So.
Great. Just a couple more questions. So as far as tools are concerned, are there any tools or software that you guys use that you love that you would recommend to other entrepreneurs?
Google Ads.
Google Ads. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's really been a blessing for us. Yeah, Google Ads, one of our biggest tool by far, and I'm not sure if you're still here, is Bill. That Bill has done an amazing job with PR and spreading the word. He's been doing a great job. We're very grateful for him, and it's really helping us with our conversation, with changing the conversation.
Very nice. And then just two more questions. So when it comes to business books or any books in general, do you guys have any favorites?
There's this great book I recommend to everyone called Be Obsessed or Be Average by Grant Cardone. Not sure if you're familiar, but to be honest, that book has probably changed my life in terms of work ethic, motivation, and it basically just tells you that you need to be 100% in anything you do, relationships, your personal growth, work, your career. It's like, it's true, right? If you're not 100% in, that means you don't care about it enough to really want to do it, So conviction is true.
Pergrin, do you have a favorite book?
Yeah, so I don't know if you've read Homo Deus yet by Hariri. That's one of my favorite books there, because I think it kind of shows the evolution of humans and how we view problems, and and what kind of problems we really have today, and where humanity is going in the future. And he doesn't specifically mention men's makeup, but I think we're part of that future. So yeah.
Very nice. And then the final question is, how can people get in contact with you?
On our website, through Instagram. We have a live chat. We have our emails on the website as well.
Feel free to drop a domain and Instagram handle, whatever you want.
Yeah, Instagram at Tribe Cosmetic, and then our website is tribecosmetics.com.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Great chatting with you.
So thank you so much.
Thanks, Joe.